Hi guys, welcome to Movie Reviews with Fee, and today we are reviewing Sinners, starring Michael B. Jordan. And Michael B. Jordan, he's playing twins, y'all. Now, Sinners is being characterized as a vampire horror movie, but it's so much more than that. And kudos off the top to Ryan Coogler, who wrote and directed and produced this movie. And you know, I'm a writer of romance novels, and I love my creatives to get something that's in your head on the page and then on the screen that is like giving birth to me. But let's get into this movie. So, Michael B. Jordan plays twins Smoke and Stack, like smokestack, you get it, the chimney. And they are returning to Clarksdale, Mississippi area from Chicago, almost like a reverse migration. They are kind of like bootleggers and criminals, and they were running with Capone in Chicago. Now this movie takes place in like 1930s America. If you know anything about history, Prohibition was going on during that time, and they have a stash of Irish beer and Italian wine. So it gets revealed, later in the film, and there are a little bit of spoilers, spoiler alert, um, but I won't spoil the whole movie. And so it's kind of hinted that they have robbed the Italians and the Irish, and they have come here to make money so they can be on their next. I don't know if they plan on staying there forever, but they come to Clarksdale, Mississippi, and they buy a juke joint from this white guy who turns out to be the head of the Ku Klux Klan. And so Smoke and Stack, when they're doing the business, they were like, and if any of your Klan boys come, we gonna kill them where they're standing. And the guy was like, the Klan don't exist no more. But it's later revealed that that's who he is. Now, so Smoke and Stack, they go into town and they start to gather these key people because they're going to have this big, huge, grand opening of this juke joint. So they go into town to a shop that's owned by a Chinese couple, and this movie is full of like historically relevant just characterizations, which um, I had never seen Chinese people in like a Southern style movie. So, um, so Grace, is it Grace? Let's see. They play. So Bo Chow is the husband. Grace Chow is the wife. And when Grace starts speaking, she's not speaking in like a Chinese accent. She is speaking in a full-on Southern accent, and for that was like this kind of cognitive dissonance moment for me. Which once I think about, it was like it makes sense if they're living and they've been living in the South for years and years and years. Why wouldn't they pick up the lingo and the accent of the area in which they live? But I'd never seen that before, and I just thought that was pretty genius of Coogler and the actor to make that decision to have them speak like the locals. So anyway, they're providing like the supplies, the sign, and all of that. And right off the bat, you realize Smoke don't play. Um, these guys try to rob his truck while he's in there doing business with the shop owners. He comes out and shoots both of them just so folks know not to mess with them. And so you really get this sense that he is, a sinner. He knows he's on the other side, so to speak. Um, so you have Smoke and Stack who come into town. They're gonna, have this big, huge grand opening. They go to see Annie, who is Smoke's old flame. They had a child together who passed, and we come to see that throughout the scenes through the movie. And Smoke still has a fire brewing for Annie, and So we have Bo and Grace Chow, we have Annie, and then Delroy Lindo's character, he plays a blues man. So they go down to the train station where he's playing like the harmonica and people are giving him money and to recruit him. And the guitar playing singer is their cousin Sammy, or Preacher Boy, and he's Preacher Boy because he's the son of a preacher. And if you know anything about these times back in the 1930s, there was this rift between your gift of music, if you were going to use it for God or if you were going to use it for the world, or secular music. And it was pretty much demonized if you were to play the blues, especially the blues. But if you were to play anything other than um, gospel music with your gift. Now, throughout this whole movie, there's this theme of the power of music, that the time transcending power of music and the life altering power of music. And so, um, the gist of it is that there are certain people in different cultures who are born with this musicality that is so powerful that it can change the lives of the living, but it also draws evil toward it. And so, I mean, I've grown up in Kojic and had it just the teaching is that, that what was it, that Satan was like the angel that with the most beautiful voice in heaven. And so how this music is used to either draw you to God or away from God. Um, but it's very interesting that the the I don't know if you call them source vampires are these Irish American immigrants, and we see like this dance scene where they're playing and they're singing, and it's very beautiful music, and we see the music that's happening inside the juke joint, and there's this scene where it's almost like a clapping, stomping church event, and all of this is converging in this night that ultimately turns into a battle between the vampire sinners and the human sinners. And the movie is so much more than that, because if I were to go in a bird's eye view, it's basically how this living under this oppressive system, right, of racism, because you have the Irish immigrants, the Chinese immigrants, and the African American descendants of slaves, right? How in order for them to feel free, to gain wealth, they have to live outside of the system. And we see the church as representative of like the good black people, but they're poor. They still work on a plantation, and they're not even being paid in money. They're being paid in plantation credits that Annie accepts at her store, but they're worthless. So there's still this system of financial exploitation. And so you see how the bluesmen who are down at the train station and all the wealthy white people are giving them money, or the folks that play at the juke joint, or the folks like Smoke and Stack who go off to Chicago and find themselves involved in like gangster activity, Al Capone and all them, they become these sinners in order to financially, to be financially solvent in this oppressive system, that if you are a good person, you are complicit in the system because you're accepting of the oppression. Like they're literally working all day for coins that are only good for credits on the plantation, so they're still essentially slaves. Um, and so that's what I was thinking when I was watching the movies, and the whole vampire stuff was secondary for me because it doesn't like, they're more like monsters, like in Lovecraft Country, that's when I saw Lovecraft Country. It was so weird and everything, but it was more like they were monsters versus some type of manifestation of evil or whatever. But and I mean, obviously they are in terms of vampire lore, but you can't separate that from the social dynamic that existed at the time. And that was one way to show that on screen without being overly preachy. And I think some reviewers may even miss it because they aren't, tuned in to that. So, yeah. So I've been recording this with my mic way over there, so I hope the sound is good because this is like my third time recording. What did you think of the movie?